Obsession, what it is, how it shows up, and protecting your mental health, peace, and safety. Let's talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough. Obsession. There's a difference between passion, determination, and obsession, and that difference matters. Passion motivates you. It energizes progress, creativity, and purpose. Determination keeps you committed when things get difficult. But obsession is different. Obsession consumes you. It narrows your focus so much that everything else begins to disappear. Your thinking becomes fixated. Emotions intensify. And perspective begins to fade. In my experience, coaching leaders and working with people in high-pressure environment, I've seen how quickly strong focus can turn into fixation when self-awareness is missing. What begins as commitment can quickly evolve into something that starts controlling a person's thinking and emotional stability. Obsession can show up in relationships, work, personal validation, or even the need to prove something. And when it takes hold, it can affect your mental health, your peace, and sometimes your safety. A good place to start the conversation is asking, where do I think the line exists between healthy focus and unhealthy obsession? What obsession really is? Obsession is a persistent and intrusive thinking about a person, outcome, idea, or situation that begins to dominate your mental and emotional space. It keeps replaying in your mind, even when you want to move on. In many cases, obsession is not really about the person or the situation itself. It is often driven by something deeper. Fear of losing control, emotional dependency, need for validation, insecurity or rejection, unresolved emotional attachment. Instead of bringing clarity, obsession traps people in a mental loop. A simple way to understand it is this. Obsession happens when something takes up so much space in your mind that it begins controlling your peace. Characteristics of obsessive behavior. Obsession often reveals itself through patterns rather than a single action. Some common characteristics include intense fixation on one person, idea, or outcome. Difficulty shifting attention to other priorities. Constant mental replay of conversations or events. Emotional highs and lows tied to a specific person or situation. Repeated checking of messages, social media, or updates. Excessive need for reassurance or validation. Difficulty accepting boundaries or rejection. Persistent attempts to control people or outcomes. In leadership environments, obsession may appear as perfectionism, micromanagement, or the inability to release control. What initially looks like dedication can quietly become over-control, driven by fear rather than clarity. Warning signs that obsession may be developing. Recognizing warning signs early matters because obsession tends to intensify when it goes unchecked. Warning signs may include thinking about the person or situation constantly. Your mood becomes dependent on someone else's responses. Difficulty concentrating on other areas of life. Repeatedly checking messages, email, or social media. Feeling anxious, frustrated, or restless when there is no response. Feeling compelled to fix, win, or prove something. Ignoring personal boundaries, yours or someone else's. When thinking becomes compulsive rather than intentional, it is often a sign that something deeper is happening. A useful reflection is, at what point does focus stop being productive and start becoming unhealthy? A real-world example. I have seen situations where someone becomes so focused on gaining approval from another person, a leader, a colleague, a partner, that it begins consuming their mental energy. They replay conversations, question every interaction, and constantly try to figure out how to get the response they want. Over time, their work suffers, their confidence erodes, and their peace disappears. The real issue is their sense of validation became tied to a single outcome. That is when focus crosses the line into obsession. The impact on mental health and peace. Obsession slowly drains mental and emotional energy. It fuels anxiety, tension, and emotional exhaustion because the mind becomes trapped in a cycle of thinking. Over time, this can lead to increased stress and anxiety, difficulty concentrating, emotional burnout, sleep disruption, strained relationships, loss of perspective. Perhaps the greatest loss is inner peace. When your mind is constantly occupied by something you cannot control, clarity disappears. And without clarity, decision-making suffers. One principle I often emphasize is this: anything that repeatedly disrupts your peace deserves serious attention. Peace is not weakness. It is a foundation for sound thinking and healthy leadership. When obsession becomes a safety concern, in some cases, obsession can escalate beyond emotional fixation, become harassment, stalking, or threatening behavior. Warning signs of escalation may include persistent, unwanted contact, ignoring clear boundaries, monitoring or tracking someone's activities, showing up unexpectedly or repeatedly, attempts to intimidate, manipulate, or pressure someone. When behaviors cross the lines, the situation is no longer simply emotional. it becomes a personal safety issue. At this point, protecting yourself may require more than setting boundaries. Protecting your mental health, peace, and safety. Protecting your well-being requires awareness, boundaries, and sometimes outside support. Guard your mental space. Not every thought deserves your attention. When you notice your mind returning repeatedly to the same fixation, intentionally shift your focus towards something productive. Your attention is one of the most valuable resources. Protect it. Maintain emotional balance. Obsession often grows when too much emotional importance is placed on one person or one outcome. A balanced life, meaningful work, friendships, hobbies, and purpose help stabilize emotions and reduce obsessive thinking. Respect and enforce boundaries. Boundaries protect peace and safety. If someone's behavior becomes intrusive or obsessive, clearly communicate your limits. Reduce and eliminate contact when necessary. Avoid engaging in unhealthy communication cycles. Boundaries are not rejection, they are protection. Pay attention to your intuition. If the situation feels uncomfortable, controlling, or emotionally draining, take that signal seriously. Your intuition often recognizes unhealthy dynamics before your mind fully processes it. Seek professional, legal, or criminal guidance when necessary. If obsessive behavior escalates into harassment, threats, stalking, or intimidation, it is important to seek appropriate support immediately. This may include documenting incidents and communication, consulting a legal professional, seeking guidance from law enforcement, pursuing protective and restraining orders if necessary. Your safety and your well-being should always take priority. No one should feel pressured to tolerate behavior that threatens their peace or security. Closing reflection. Focus and determination are positive qualities. They help people pursue purpose and achieve meaningful goals. But when focus turns into fixation, it begins to cost you something. Your clarity, your mental health, and sometimes your safety. Healthy leadership and healthy living requires balance. It means knowing when to pursue something with commitment and when to step back and protect your peace. Because the truth is this: anything that takes away your peace for long enough eventually takes away your power. How do we stay committed to our goals and relationships without allowing that commitment to turn into unhealthy obsession? This insight is for awareness and education. If you feel unsafe or threatened, they should seek professional or law enforcement guidance. It keeps your message responsible and protects you professionally.